No one noticed her at first. That was normal. People rarely noticed her anymore. She was small, thin, wrapped in a faded, oversized jacket that once belonged to someone else. Her shoes were worn down at the edges, and dust clung to her clothes, no matter how often she brushed it away with her hands. The African girl walked slowly along the iron gates, her steps cautious, her eyes fixed on the massive mansion in front of her. It stood tall and silent, surrounded by trimmed hedges, marble steps, and security cameras that watched every movement. She had never seen a place like this up close. Most people like her never did. Her name was Naya. She was 15 years old, though hunger and hardship had made her look younger. Life had taught her to survive quietly, to avoid attention, to keep moving, but today was different. Today, something had pulled her here, something she could not explain. Her heart beat faster with every step she took toward the gate. Not from fear alone, but from certainty she belonged here. She didn't know why she felt it so strongly. The security guard noticed her before she could knock. He stepped forward, tall and alert, his voice firm but not cruel. He asked what she wanted, already expecting her to leave. Nia swallowed hard. Her throat felt dry, but she forced the words out. "I need to see the owner," she said quietly. The guard looked at her, then at the mansion behind him, then back at her again. People like her didn't make requests like that. He told her to go, to find help somewhere else, to leave before she caused trouble. She nodded, took a step back, then stopped. "Please," she said, her voice shaking just enough to reveal the weight she carried. "Just tell him I came, please." Something about the way she said it made the guard hesitate. He studied her face more carefully this time. Her eyes were dark, steady, and filled with something that didn't match her appearance, not desperation. Not fear. Recognition. The guard sighed and spoke into his radio. Inside the mansion, life moved quietly. Expensive furniture, polished floors. A man sat in his study reviewing documents, unaware that everything he thought he knew was about to change. His name was Daniel Hartman, a powerful businessman, respected, wealthy, controlled. A man who had built walls around his life so thick that even memories struggled to get through. When the guard's message came through, Daniel barely looked up. A homeless girl at the gate. He was about to dismiss it like everything else. Then the guard added one sentence. "She says you need to see her." Something tightened in Daniel's chest. He didn't know why. Against his better judgment, he stood and walked toward the window overlooking the gate. From that distance, he could barely make out her figure, small, still, waiting, and then she looked up. Their eyes met. And Daniel froze. The world seemed to narrow, sound fading into nothing as his breath caught in his throat. His hand gripped the window frame, knuckles whitening. He had not seen that face in over a decade, but he knew it instantly. The shape of her eyes, the curve of her cheek, the way she stood, as if bracing for disappointment. It was impossible. It couldn't be her. Yet every part of him screamed that it was. He whispered a name under his breath, one he hadn't said out loud in years. A name tied to guilt, regret, and a past he had buried under success and silence. His heart pounded, memories flooding back without permission. A woman, a promise. A night that changed everything. He ordered the gate opened. The guard was surprised, but obeyed. Nia walked through the gate slowly, each step echoing louder than the last. The mansion loomed over her, intimidating and unreal. She felt the weight of every eye on her, but she kept going. She had learned long ago that fear didn't protect you. Truth did. Inside, Daniel stood waiting in the entry hall. When she stepped inside, he could see her clearly now. The resemblance was undeniable, not just in her features, but in her presence. His chest felt tight, his mind racing ahead of his words. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. Nia looked at him, studying his face the same way she had imagined so many times before. This was the man from the photograph. The one her mother had kept hidden. The one she had been told never to look. For the one who didn't know she existed. "You're him," she said softly. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled at her sides. Daniel swallowed hard. "Who are you?" he asked, Though some part of him already knew the answer, Nia took a breath. This was the moment she had prepared for during countless cold nights. The moment she had walked miles for. The moment that had brought her to these gates. "My name is Nia," she said. "My mother's name was Amina." The name hit him like a physical blow. Daniel staggered back a step, his face draining of color. Amina, the woman he had loved and lost, the woman he had failed. The woman who had disappeared from his life without explanation. Nia watched his reaction carefully. She wasn't angry, she wasn't accusing him. She just needed him to see her. To recognize her. "She died 2 years ago," Nia continued quietly. "Before she passed, she told me who you were. She told me where to find you. She said you would know me if you saw my face." Silence filled the hall. Daniel's world cracked open, every excuse he had ever made shattered. Every choice he had justified came rushing back with brutal clarity. He looked at the girl standing in front of him, this child who had lived without him, suffered without him, survived without him, and now stood in his home. "I didn't know," he whispered. Nia nodded. "I know." Those 2 words carried more weight than any accusation ever could. Daniel sank into a chair, his legs suddenly weak. He looked at her again, really looked at her, and saw not a stranger, but a mirror of a past he could never erase. His voice trembled as he asked the question that had been burning in his chest since the moment he saw her. "Why did you come here?" Nia hesitated, because the answer would change everything. She looked around the mansion once more, then back at him. "Because," she said softly, "someone is lying to you about what happened to my mother. And they don't know that I remember everything." Daniel's eyes widened. The room seemed to close in, and just like that, the story was no longer about a homeless girl finding shelter. It was about a truth buried deep enough to destroy lives. And in that moment, Daniel understood one thing clearly. This was only the beginning. Daniel stared at Nia as if the walls around him were slowly collapsing. Her last words echoed in his mind, repeating again and again. Someone was lying to him. Someone knew the truth about Amina, and this girl, standing in front of him with nothing but worn clothes and quiet strength, remembered everything. He motioned for her to sit, though his hand trembled as he did. She remained standing for a moment, as if unsure whether she was allowed, then slowly lowered herself onto the edge of the chair. She kept her back straight, alert, like someone who had learned not to relax until it was safe. Daniel leaned forward. "Tell me," he said carefully. "Tell me what you remember." Nia took a deep breath. This wasn't easy. Memories came with pain, and pain was something she carried every day. But she had come too far to turn back now. "My mother worked for someone powerful," she began. "After she left you, life became hard. Not just poor, dangerous. She said she knew things she wasn't supposed to know. Things about money, about deals, about people who smiled in public and hurt others in private." Daniel's jaw tightened. His business world was full of secrets, alliances, and enemies. He already felt where this was heading, and he didn't like it. "She told me," Nia continued, "that one day you would ask questions. And when you did, people would try to stop the truth from reaching you." Daniel stood abruptly and walked toward the window, his back to her. His reflection stared back at him, older than he remembered, heavier with regret. "I searched for her," he said quietly. "After she disappeared, I hired people. I followed every lead. I was told she left the country, that she wanted nothing to do with me." "That was a lie," Nia said. The certainty in her voice made him turn around. "They threatened her," she said. "They told her if she ever contacted you again, something bad would happen." "Not to her, to me." Daniel's chest tightened. A familiar name surfaced in his mind, one he hadn't spoken in years. A man who had helped him rise. A man who controlled more than he ever admitted. A man who had been there the night Amina vanished. "No?" Daniel whispered. "That's not possible." Nia looked at him steadily. "My mother didn't die sick," she said. "She was poisoned." Slowly, over time, the room felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. Daniel felt a sharp pain behind his eyes as the truth clawed its way forward. He thought of the medical reports, the vague explanations, the sudden silence after her death. "Why didn't you come sooner?" he asked, his voice breaking. Nia lowered her gaze. Because I was afraid. And because they were watching me. That was when Daniel noticed something he had missed before. A faint scar near her wrist. The way she flinched when a staff member passed the doorway. The way her eyes constantly scanned the room. You're not safe, he said. She shook her head. Not yet, Daniel made a decision in that moment. One that would put everything he had built at risk. He reached for his phone and ordered the mansion locked down. No one in, no one out. Security doubled. Private guards only. Nia watched him, surprised. You believe me? She asked. Daniel looked at her, his daughter, the living proof of a life he had abandoned. I believe you, he said. Because your mother never lied to me, and neither do you. That night, Nia slept in a real bed for the first time in years. Soft sheets, warm light, silence that didn't feel threatening. But sleep didn't come easily. Memories haunted her, voices, warnings. The last night her mother held her and whispered instructions she hadn't fully understood until now. Meanwhile, Daniel sat alone in his study, surrounded by files he had avoided for years. He reopened. Old cases, old emails, old agreements. Patterns began to emerge. Missing money. Altered documents. Names appearing where they shouldn't. One name appeared more than any other. His closest associate, the man he trusted with everything. As dawn broke, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear, not for himself, but for the girl sleeping under his roof. If Nia was right, and he knew in his gut that she was, then bringing her here had painted a target on her back. The next morning, Nia was woken by raised voices downstairs. She froze. This was how it always started. She crept toward the door, her heart pounding, listening carefully. Daniel's voice was calm but firm. Another voice responded, smooth and controlled, pretending nothing was wrong. You should have told me you had a guest. The man said. And I recognized that voice instantly. Her blood ran cold. She stepped back slowly, every instinct screaming at her to hide. This was the man her mother had warned her about. The man who smiled while destroying lives. Daniel sensed the shift in the room. He glanced toward the staircase and saw Nia standing there, pale and shaking. Their eyes met. In that moment, he understood everything. The visitor followed Daniel's gaze. His smile faded when he saw her face. For just a split second, the mask slipped. And that was all Daniel needed. The man recovered quickly, laughing lightly. Who's the girl? He asked. Daniel stepped forward, placing himself between them. She's under my protection, he said. The man studied Nia closely, too closely. His eyes narrowed, calculating. Interesting, he murmured. Nia's hands clenched into fists. She remembered this face. She remembered the way he looked at her mother. She remembered the night they ran. She knows, Nia said suddenly. The room went silent. The man's expression hardened. Knows what? Daniel didn't answer, because the truth was now standing in the open, and there was no turning back. The man straightened his jacket, his voice cold. Be careful, Daniel, he said. Some doors are better left closed. As he turned to leave, Nia felt a familiar dread settle in her chest. This wasn't over. It was just getting dangerous, and the next move could cost them everything. The moment the door closed behind him, Daniel knew the balance had shifted. What had been buried for years was now exposed, and the man who left the mansion had realized it too. There would be no more pretending, no more quiet threats. Whatever came next would be deliberate. Nia stood frozen near the stairs, her body stiff, her breath shallow. Daniel walked toward her slowly, keeping his voice calm. You're safe here, he said, though part of him knew safety was no longer guaranteed. She shook her head. He knows, she whispered. He always knows. Daniel guided her into the study and locked the door behind them. The walls were thick, soundproof, built to keep secrets. For years, those secrets had protected him. Now, they might save her. Tell me everything, Daniel said. Not just what you remember. Tell me what you were told. Nia sat across from him, her hands clasped tightly. My mother said there were records, she said. Proof, not just about money. About people, names, transactions, things that could destroy powerful lives. Daniel leaned back, his face pale. She kept them? Yes, Nia replied. She hid them, split them up. Some were digital, some were written. She said if anything happened to her, those records would protect me. Daniel's heart sank. Did she tell you where they are? Nia hesitated. Not directly. She said I would know when the time was right. Silence filled the room. Daniel realized something. Then Nia wasn't just a witness. She was the key. That night, security reported movement outside the property. Nothing obvious, no breach. But enough to confirm Daniel's fear. They were being watched. Daniel arranged for Nia to stay hidden within the mansion. Different room. Different routine, fewer staff, trusted guards only. He canceled meetings, postponed deals, and quietly contacted an old friend, someone who owed him their freedom. Meanwhile, memories began surfacing for Nia, small details she had ignored. For years now took shape. A storage locker near the old bus station. A false bottom in a suitcase they never opened. A name written inside a book her mother had made her memorize. The next morning, Daniel insisted on accompanying her. They left in an unmarked car, taking indirect routes, changing vehicles twice. No phones, no signals. Just caution. When they reached the location, Nia's heart pounded. The place looked abandoned, forgotten by time. But when she opened the locker, the past spilled out. Folders, flash drives, letters. Daniel's hands shook as he scanned the documents. This wasn't just corruption. This was systematic destruction, people silenced, lives ruined, truths buried. And the same name appeared again and again, the man who had just stood in his living room. Daniel felt something. Inside him break, rage, guilt, responsibility. He had helped build this empire. Even if he hadn't known the full cost? They'll kill you for this, he said quietly. Nia looked at him. They already tried. On the drive back, a car loaded them. Subtle, distant, professional. Daniel didn't panic. He expected this. The chase was short but tense. A sudden turn, a blocked road. A calculated maneuver by Daniel's driver saved them, but the message was clear. You are not untouchable. Back at the mansion, Daniel made another decision. We're not hiding anymore, he said. We're ending this. Nia looked at him, unsure. How? Daniel met her gaze. By telling the truth, but not publicly, not yet. He contacted authorities he could trust, carefully, selectively. Evidence was delivered in fragments. Enough to raise alarms. Enough to start investigations without exposing Nia, but someone leaked information, and that someone was inside. The betrayal came from a place Daniel never suspected, a longtime employee. Someone who had watched Nia walk through the front door. Someone who smiled kindly and reported everything. That night, alarms blared through the mansion. Nia woke up to shouting. Footsteps, chaos. Daniel reached her room just as guards rushed past. We're leaving, he said, now. They escaped through a secured underground exit as intruders breached the outer perimeter. Not thieves. Not random criminals, professionals. They drove into the night, abandoning the mansion that had once felt like a fortress. Hours later, they stopped at a safe location far from the city. Daniel looked exhausted, older than ever. I should have protected you sooner, he said. I should have protected your mother. Nia's voice was calm. You're here now. That was when Daniel received the call. The man didn't threaten him. He congratulated him. You've always been smarter than the others, the voice said. But this ends one way. Daniel listened in silence. You give her to us, the man continued. And this all disappears? Investigations? Files? Your guilt? Daniel's hand tightened around the phone. He looked at Nia, sitting quietly, unaware of the words being spoken. She's my daughter. Daniel said. There was a pause, then laughter. We'll see. The voice replied. The call ended. Daniel knew then that the final move was coming. And Nia finally understood something too. Her mother hadn't raised her to survive. She had raised her to finish where she started. The night was quiet in a way that felt unnatural, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Daniel sat across from Nia in the dimly lit safe house, the weight of everything unspoken filling the space between them. There were no more moves left that didn't carry consequences. I need to tell you the truth, Daniel finally said. Nia didn't respond right away. She had learned that silence often revealed more than words. She simply nodded. Your mother didn't disappear, Daniel continued. She was targeted because of what she knew. And because of who she trusted. Nia's jaw tightened. You, Daniel, didn't deny it. At first, yes. I introduced her to people she should have never met. I thought I was helping her build a future. I didn't see the danger until it was too late. He paused, struggling to keep his voice steady. When she realized what was really happening, she tried to pull away. She started documenting everything. That made her a liability. Nia felt her chest tighten, but she didn't cry. Not yet. I tried to protect her, Daniel said. I failed, but before she vanished, she came to me. She made me promise one thing. Nia looked up. What? That if anything ever happened to her, I would find you. And I would give you the choice she never had. The room fell silent. Again, you're not just someone who walked into my mansion by chance, Daniel said softly. You are my daughter. The words didn't explode. They sank in slowly, painfully, reshaping everything Nia thought she understood about her life. She stood up, pacing. So all those years, the streets, the shelters, that was your protection? No, Daniel said immediately. That was my cowardice. I thought staying away would keep you invisible. I was wrong. Nia stopped in front of him. They came for me anyway. Yes, Daniel said, because you were never invisible. You were insurance. Outside, headlights appeared in the distance. Daniel checked the security feed. They found us. There was no panic now. Only clarity. Daniel handed Nia a small device. This contains copies of everything, encrypted. If anything happens to me, this goes public. She stared at it. Why give this to me? Because this story doesn't belong to me anymore, he said. It belongs to you. The sound of vehicles grew louder. Daniel opened another door, revealing a hidden exit. You leave now? Nia shook her head. Not without you, Daniel smiled sadly. This ends tonight, one way or another. They were surrounded within minutes. Not. Chaos, precision, men in dark clothing, controlled movements, calm voices. The same man stepped forward, the one from the mansion. You should have chosen easier, he said. Daniel stepped in front of Nia. It ends here, the man laughed. It always does. Before anything could happen, sirens cut through the air. Not police, international investigators. The evidence had already been released. The man's smile faded for the first time. Daniel hadn't lied. He had prepared for this moment long before. The arrests were swift, names spoken aloud that had never been touched before. Power collapsed under the weight of truth. As the man was taken away, he turned back once. This isn't over, he said. Daniel didn't respond. Months later, the mansion stood empty. Its doors closed, its secrets exposed. Investigations continued across borders. Careers ended. Reputations destroyed. Nia stood at the edge of a different life now, not defined by fear, not erased by silence. Daniel faced charges too. He didn't fight them. I don't want forgiveness, he told her. I want accountability. Nia visited him once before the sentencing. I don't know what to call you, she said. Daniel nodded. You don't have to. She placed the device on the table between them. The truth is out. That was my choice. Daniel looked at her with pride and regret woven together. Your mother would have been proud. Nia left the building lighter than she had ever felt, years later. Her story wasn't told as a tragedy. It was told as a turning point. A homeless girl who walked into a mansion and refused to disappear. A daughter who inherited courage, not wealth, and a reminder that the truth doesn't ask permission. It waits. And when it walks through the door, everything freezes.